So thanks for having me. 5 minutes, I talk really fast, and I'm very conscious of that, but it sort of suits the space, I suppose. Talking fast, so I'm going to try and get through a lot of information in a short amount of time. And what we're talking about here is nothing right now. Play. And play's a big part of my life. I have 3 kids, so by default, it sort of surrounds me all the time. And like I said, I want to move fast through this. So basically, if I can, you got that? We keep going. They're my kids. So 6.2, I work for an organisation called 6.2, and you're right, we do solve complex problems through innovation. We call ourselves an innovation lab, and realistically that's just a really cool term for we're a consultancy firm. And when we decided to call ourselves an innovation lab, it sparked about 1,000 times more interest than the word consultancy did. Essentially our day looks like this. The work we do is we're brought into organisations, and they range from BlackBerry through to real estate agencies like McGrath's, the government, local council, Wollongong Council, Manly Council and so on. So we deal with all different businesses and different organisations at different levels. But essentially the whole point of the work is to get to this line. And the thing I love about this is every day looks like this for me. I don't know if anyone's sort of pacing around. I'm sort of in this space right now too, trying to get out. Okay, I think it's working. So I want to really quickly take you through my history. I started my first company in 1999. It was a bit of a journey. We got to 2003, we had three retail stores, 25 staff, 8 company cars. And then in 2004, it went broke, which is a bit of an interesting journey for us. But that was okay, we got through that. And then I basically found my role in an organisation, a very big one, corporation, in a management space. And you can click that. In 2000, this is working now, I'll stand here. I just stopped walking back and forth. So in 2008, I found myself in corporate Australia, and I actually loved it. But there was things that I actually found during that process as I was going from this low point to this high point that I actually didn't like. So I decided to leave corporate Australia and start my own job. So we started 6.2 in around 2009. In around 2011, we went through this really long battle of trying to find balance in that work we did. And the work we're sort of, the space we're at the moment is, this 2020 ambition is just to stay safe, just protect what we do, but innovate, but mainly innovate our clients rather than ourselves. And that's really, it's a lot of fun. But the interesting thing about this work is the thing that interests me about my history when I look back on the work we do is these 2 blue points. I'm fascinated and almost obsessed by failure. And these are 2 epic failures for me. So I got to this point where in 2008 I left a job on a corporate salary for no income, to start a business with no money and no invested capital. So that business today turns over $1 million. And we've never had $1 of credit, never borrowed a computer, never leased anything, and essentially it's gone from about a $500 investment to start to $1 million business without borrowing a single thing in the world. So we're very proud of that. And my idea of coming around to obsession and this sort of failure is around the idea of play, which we'll get to in a sec. So I have this overriding question, and it's basically this thing which says we need to rethink how we run our companies and our organisations. This is not an original idea, this came from Dan Pink. Is anyone ever familiar with Dan Pink? He did a great TED talk, and he's also written a great book that we all should read. And Dan talks about extrinsic versus intrinsic value. So the thing for me was, I was a Luxottica because I paid really, really well. And there was nothing wrong with that job, but the fact was, the more I got paid, the more expectation they had of me. The thing that we do now at 6.2 is we work basically on the fact that we love it. We've got a team of 23 contractors to the business, and they all do it because they love it. It's never, the conversation's never about money, it's always about value and about what we can bring and what we can achieve collectively. And I think the interesting thing about rethinking our companies still think that paying more money to solve a complex problem will solve the problem. The reality is it probably won't. It'll still solve the problem, but when you get someone involved to do it because they're passionate about it, they'll solve it quicker and they'll care more. So there's a disconnect or a mismatch between what science knows, if you go read Dan Pink's book, and what companies do. This is my son jumping off a cliff in Fiji, and this gets me to the point of play. How much time? So, why is play important? And I've got a really cool story about my son here, but I'm not going to tell it. If you want to hear it later, I'll tell you. It's a really cool story. But the play is important because what it does, it gives us this sort of motivation to become creative. And earlier on we talked about over here the fact that we lose that ability to play. At some point we become very serious, and what we become is very good at accounting. But before we're good at accounting, we're actually very good at playing and learning how to create stuff. That's never changed, we just forgot how to do it at some point. So we talk a lot about play, that creates creativity, which leads to good ideas, which in turn leads to great innovation. We value ideas at 1%. at 6.2. And we value the execution of a good idea at 99%. Okay, it's all in the execution. So what does that mean? It means it's all about action. Creating what you cannot see, connection, connecting to culture and humanity, and deviation, forging new paths. And this is really important. And these are the stuff we talk about every day at 6.2. Okay, I've got 10 seconds, so I'm going to go fast. Okay, 4 things. I'm not going to read it to you. Quickly read, and I'll go to the next slide. The most important one is the last one. Innovation relies on bravery. It's really important that we reward bravery in our business. And before you kick me off, I want to get to this point. Fail early, fail fast, and fail inexpensively. The beauty of 6.2 is if it fails, it doesn't cost us $1. We just stop. And that's a really important thing because then you can become innovative, you can become creative, and you can play all you want. And finally, this is important. In the next 30 days, this is something we talk about every single month at 6.2. And we think we can change the world, or our business, or our life, or a simple idea by doing 3 things. Getting through the noise is a starting point, which is hard for me. But it's basically looking like this. Go and create something, anything. Just create something tomorrow. And every single month we have a conversation on what can we create this month that we've never created before. And it gets our juices flowing. Share your ideas liberally. Ideas aren't worth anything, right? They become valuable when we talk about them and we share them and we collaborate. And they form this big spark and this big explosion. Everyone's familiar with Rachel Blotzman's book, Collaborative Consumption? That's what it's all about. And innovate your life. And the interesting thing with innovation is we talk about innovation as simply viewing the world from someone else's viewpoint. It's a very empathetic approach to innovation. But as soon as we do that, we see something we've probably never seen before, and we get into the space of innovation very fast. It all starts with play. And that's it. Thank you very much for having me.